Neptune also shifting, and Uranus also shifting, and Saturn shifting, and the North Node shifting. It's like, it's so much change at one time, and all of these planets are now at critical degrees.
All at the same time.
All at the same time. And so Uranus is now it's going to hit those critical fucking degrees.
Where it's really like, expect the unexpected.
Especially Earth change-wise, since it's in Taurus. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's why a lot of physical, like, weird things have started to happen. And then, it'll also conjunct Alcyone soon.
That's right.
When it starts getting to those, like, 26 degrees, I think it is.
Yes.
So.
And then it will conjunct Sedna in Gemini.
Yeah, so there's definitely...
Well, so today, the conjunction is at 28 degrees Pisces. I know we normally round up. So I'm not sure if 28 or 29 degrees would... I feel 28 degrees might actually... resonate more. It's called A Horde of Monkeys Chattering. But it says, giving vent to all parts, making room for the myriad of voices, those that disturb the peace and won't let us in. Captivated by the dark. More curious about whatever is officially considered to be out of bounds, swept away by the phenomenon of the undersoul. We're living so deep in the unconscious, it is hard to tell who is doing what, where something is coming from, or where it needs to go. We are not involved in purpose, meaning, or direction. We are sent off wandering in places that call those who are impressionable to energies and consciousness. We are being held within the collective shadows and shown what exists in these places. Most particularly, we are right now wide open to the mental currents, which, everyone's in psychosis, if you want my opinion.
The votes are in.
The votes are in. At one with the places where we all get stuck. Ultimately, we have given ourselves over to an experiment.
Yeah, I'd say so.
What will happen if the little stuff is made to be everything and the big picture seems to be wiped out? How far will we go with this?
I wonder the same thing.
How convinced will we be by these antics? Perhaps eventually we all get the joke. What started out to be a prank became a way of life. Yet we are returning on the spiral to the infinity we could ever hope to be.
Well, that's kind of nice.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. And that's why I felt like, oh, this is such an interesting weekend, because like the Neptune North Node conjunction, and I put out an update on this today, like there's always, many manifestations of it. Obviously on one end, like you are getting the lost in the sauceness. Mm-hmm. You're getting people who are losing their shit because Neptune conjunct that North Node is saying, hey, we have to like transcend duality. Mm-hmm. And like when you're trying to transcend duality, you're just like flickering back and forth between like what is real, what's not, like what's right, what's wrong. And it's just like, that's the psychosis. But then the higher perspective, like when you break through it, can be really amazing. I mean, I think today's a great day for like intention and manifestation. You can really align with like the greatest possibilities ever. Mm-hmm. But then like knowing Pluto's going into 41 on Monday and like the shadow is fantasy, it's kind of like,
Well, because it's also very similar because Neptune is also kind of that seen as that planet of fantasy.
Yes.
Ruling over like the dream space illusions. And then obviously the higher of all of that of like, divine consciousness and, but anyways, I just feel like adding that to the mix with the 41, like you're saying this conjunction and then Pluto going into 41 where it's already had kind of these bouts of it. Was it last year?
We got it for like 6 weeks.
Okay, last year though. Yeah. It wasn't 2023.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was a crazy, like a lot happened in those 6
I vividly remember.
Because we've just been in and out of 60 for so long and I feel like, the shadow of limitation and I feel on a collective level we as a whole will feel the shadow more because that's what we're trying to dissolve. And however long these last few years that Pluto's been on and off in 60 just feels so heavy because you do feel that restriction of physicality in the way of like, you know, there's more. And obviously we've gotten a taste of like last year, like there is more when Pluto dipped into that 41. So when it went back to 60, it was just heavy all over. Like, oh, you don't want to do this anymore. Like, I just am so over Gene Key 60.
Because like 41 is such like a powerful one of like, just because it's the ring of origin and the start codon. And it's kind of like, I mean, basically what I get from that Gene Key is like anything is possible and you can literally emanate source and create your own reality. But the shadow of fantasy is he's like, it's where you're just dreaming about shit, but you're not doing anything about it. You're just like in a pipe dream.
Right. Like you just don't know how to get to the starting
or do anything about it. So you're just like fantasizing or just like you're stuck in this delusion that like something's going to drop from the sky, right?
And just give you all the answers.
Yeah, and I think that that's like a huge part of the collective consciousness because so many people have just gone into apathy of like, oh, well, someone will do something will change. And it's like, well, we need to change. Like humanity needs to change. And that's why Trump is such a trigger because no matter which way you hate him or you love him, it's like, ultimately it's a catalyst for like we need to change, we need to do something differently. And I think with all those planets moving into Aries this year, it's going to be that too. Like Aries is all about action.
Yeah, and it's funny how they're going into Aries and it does kind of match that Pluto with going into Gene Key 41 of fresh beginnings, new, being able to start. And I like 41 too, and I feel like, well, it's something brand new that we've obviously never experienced anyone in their lifetime with Pluto in 41. And I feel like it will be so fresh and innovative, especially as we go more into the spring, like even though it's happening on Monday and we'll still be in February. But by the time we get to March, I feel like we'll start feeling the collective momentum of 41 by that point. And then the Aries energy is a lot of beginnings.
Like so much is going to happen and so much is going to change. It gives me mission vibes. And then of like that was our life. Like
I know, and you know what?
Every day was a wild fucking ride.
And it's